Hi, welcome to Cichlid Heaven. This is my 1-year anniversary of my fish room. I've been back into cichlids for about 3 years since I started 37 years ago. But before that, I had taken about 10 years. We built a new home and had to basically live with family for a few months while the home was under construction. And that, I'd say about 8-year span or so, I didn't have any aquariums at all. And so I was really missing my fish. And my wife was principal of an elementary school in West Point, Utah, where they had an aquarium that was really run down, dilapidated, and just had a few living fish and was just super dirty. And she asked me if I could do something with it. So I thought, well, this is my chance to get back my own enjoyment of fish. And I enjoyed it so much that I decided I really needed to get back into fish myself and do some for my own home. So I did that. I got one aquarium, and then it kind of grew a little bit, and there were 2 or 3 smaller aquariums. Some of the fish decided to breed. I needed a hospital tank, and one thing led to another. And so about 1.5 years ago, we had a flood. And if you see above me here in this room, there was a dishwasher right above this little area here. And as you can probably see in the ceiling, if you look really closely, there is a vent up there. And that's where the flood came from the dishwasher. When the flow valve malfunctioned, that's where the water came into this room. And we had a carpeted room here and a bunch of toys my grandson had, and just random stuff here and there. And it was not being used very well at all. I had my my pool table, and there was very little room for anything other than the pool table in here. So anyway, when that flood came about 1.5 years ago, I thought, you know what, this is my chance to make a room dedicated to the thing I love, and that's African cichlids. And I should say African and other cichlids. So anyway, it was a great opportunity for me to be able to do this. And another cool thing that happened in that decade that I was out of fish, along came the internet. And the internet had come on a little bit before that, but social media and YouTube and all those things blossomed, and all of the sharing that was going on of ideas and the beautiful information and aquascaping and so many different things happened while I was out of fish. And so it just really, when I got back into it, I realized how much I didn't really know, even after 20 years or so of keeping cichlids and breeding and doing that kind of stuff. I realized how much I didn't know about cichlids. And I realize now that even after a few years back and 20 years before, I still am very much just barely above novice level in keeping cichlids. So it's kind of humbling, because you think you knew a lot, and then you realize so many people know so much more. So anyway, not to get too much into that, but I got to start my fish room. And this is just a start. So it's just a one step, 1 year along the way of my fish room. I hope that in another year or two, this room will continue to not grow, but improve, and that I can continue to learn and grow. And so I put this out here for those who really want to learn with me and share what they know as well. And so I invite comments, I invite criticism, whatever you want to say. I'm totally open to it. I'm not one of those guys who thinks he knows everything and you can't tell him. So I'm going to move the camera over here and show you a few other things here. So behind me is the first aquarium that I got for myself after I started taking for the school aquarium. And this tank is about, I'd say about 2.5 years, closer to 3 years old. Yeah, so this December, so it'll be 3 years here in just a month or so. So I got this tank, and it's 125 gallon, and I just put a few random cichlids in there to start with, and went from there. So it's kind of fun to get something pretty decent size. The 125 is a great size for a lot of different cichlids. Right now I've got some Tanganikans in here, and they're doing pretty well. I'm learning how little I know actually about Tanganikans. So one thing you start to realize is there's beginner level fish and there's not beginner level fish. And Tanganikans, most of them are not beginner level fish. So they come with a whole new set of rules that don't apply to Central American, South American, and Malawi Victoria fish. So kind of an interesting genre all by themselves, and they really are some very, very beautiful fish. I'll share a few with you here. So back about 37 years ago, I had a 170 gallon, and I had a single frontosa in there. Couldn't say if it was male or female, but frontosa has always been one of the fish that I've really enjoyed out of the Tanganikans. And also there's a Tropheus murray in here, which is probably my second favorite fish. So there's some really fun things about keeping frontosas. I won't go into detail here, but they're such a big, majestic fish, and they're really not difficult, I don't think, to keep. So in this tank, I've tried to do a community tank, and I know a lot of Tanganikan purists would say that's not a great idea, because I've got fish here that are not necessarily fish that are going to be ideally suited to groups of other fish. However, I'm going on the belief that the lake houses them all, so I'm going to try and house several of them anyway. You'll notice a few fish here that are very beautiful. The little beige colored ones with the yellow top fin are a Neolamprologus caudopunctatus. They're fish that I've been introduced to in the last couple of years, and they've been really growing on me. I got a group of 5, and all 5 of my group are still alive and with me over a year later. Also in here are 4 Neolamprologus lelupi, and the lupi are just a gorgeous color. Sometimes I've seen a few that didn't get their beautiful orange. Sometimes they can be a little muddy brown too. But this group I got from a guy, 80-plus-year-old breeder in Salem, Utah, who has been breeding these guys for upwards of 40 years. And he's done a great job, and I think he's got a nice strain of Neolamprologus lelupi. Also an old favorite from my original aquariums back in the day are Neolamprologus treticephalus. If you look at this treticephalus here, he's a pretty good specimen. He's not full grown, but he's mature. And there's just 3 in here. And this is probably my biggest mistake in these fish is sometimes the numbers I get are not really conducive to a perfect relationship. So the 3 treticephalus and the 3 frontosa I've got in here, I've got probably plans to eliminate the 3rd, because my treticephalus have paired up and my frontosas have paired up, and so I have a one that's kind of left out of the trio here. He's not really included in both cases, so you really have to watch your numbers. Also included here, this is a Neolamprologus burchardi, and there's a pair in here, and I'll show you a little bit later that I've got a tank full of just the babies of this pair. So when I realized I had more babies from these guys than I would ever be able to find homes for, I brought the parents in here, and I thought, well, from here on out, any babies they have will be part of the food chain. So beautiful fish. I love the lyre tail, and they're going to continue to breed in here, of course, but I doubt that very many will survive to adulthood, even though I have given them a pretty good rock pile and some shelter that they can go to. So visiting this tank right now are 5 or so star sapphire cichlids here, and they're in Malawi, but they're part of my ongoing goal to breed Malawi, this particular breed, the star sapphire. I've got another 6 in the other room that are growing up, so eventually I'm going to have a whole school of star sapphires, so hoping that'll happen someday. This one's starting to chip up really nicely. So anyway, so this is the first tank that I got when I got back into cichlids. I added on a couple of 40s and some 75 gallons, so they've been pretty good as far as other things here. Let me pause this for a second here. Okay, sorry, I had to pause for an emergency there. We've got Some other ones that I added on when I first got back into keeping fish, these 40 and 75 gallon tanks here, they're pretty handy. 75 is a great size for growing out these young males, or in some cases they're a good size for putting a bunch of females in as well. So you can do a lot of things. I don't do a ton of breeding in these tanks, but they're a great size. So some of my first tanks to add on were these 40 and 75 gallons. So pretty great. But frankly, the whole reason for the fish room was these two tanks right here, and you'll see that they are pretty heavily stocked cichlid tanks. You've got a pretty wide variety of Malawi cichlids with a few others mixed in for good measure. So you'll see a few here that are colored up, some males. There's there's a Central American cichlid here that I've always been a big fan of. And if you ever watch my videos, you'll see I'll do a special every now and then on these guys. But this is sometimes called the macaw cichlid, sometimes called Nicaraguan. When I started, they were just called by the Spanish name, which is Nicaraguensis. So the Nicaraguensis are just a really beautiful, colorful fish. They bred for me just once when I first got them about 8 or 10 months ago. They haven't bred since, but I'm not really looking to breed these guys. I'm just enjoying the beauty that they add to this tank here. In this tank there is one Tanganikan and the Central Americans, and then the rest of them are Malawi cichlids, different peacocks from Lake Malawi. I've always liked to add a little bit of yellow into the tanks, and these yellow labs may or may not be here long term. They've been here well over a year now, but they are may someday go to an Mbuna tank. I'll have to see what happens there. But for now, they actually get along quite well with these Malawi cichlids. And see, I've got a pretty good variety going on here. I've got a lot of repeats on some of these fish, but some are unique. So if you have any question about the different species that I've got here and I don't mention it, by all means, just ask them in the comments. You'll see here there are 3 bala sharks. You're working as dither fish in this tank, and a fair number of giant danios. And the giant danios are, again, they're just a fast-moving schooling fish, and they're sometimes helpful to keep the aggression down in this tank. Now, I'm going to move over to this tank here. This one is the one that I at first called my big guys tank, because a year ago when I started these tanks, I had a fair number of grown out cichlids. Not really old, but I had a few that I adopted, and then a few that I'd grown out myself. And I thought, well, I got to have one tank for the big guys. So this was the big guys tank. This is where I've got my green terrors, where I've got a couple of bigger haps and peacocks that have grown up. In addition, I have a few of these fish that I have bred myself. It's just a hybrid of a particular species of Victorian cichlid that I really enjoyed, but I couldn't get my Victorians to breed, so I bred Meg Victorian with Malawi cichlid, and they produced this kind of fun hybrid species. So in here I've also got some Venustas, some Taiwan reef, and blue dolphins, and a couple of Tanganikans. You'll see the Tropheus duboisi there, and he came here because he was not getting along well with the other Tanganikans, and he's done extremely well with this group here. So you've got to sometimes think outside the box and look at different solutions when you have a problem. So he was having a problem in that other tank, and now he's very happy in this tank. Same actually went for the Frontosa in the corner here. The Frontosa has made pretty good friends with my green terror and with the African leopard bushfish, and he tends to hang out with the bigger fish. Even the Bucochroma species that you see there, the Bucochroma rhodesii, even he is a pretty good hangout mate with the Frontosa. So it's kind of fun to see the fish from different lakes form a relationship of sorts, and watch them grow and mature together. I'm going to take a trip into the back room here and show you a few other tanks that I've got going in the back room. So here's my 210s. The main focal point of this room is the 210s, of course, and someday I may go up to 300 or 500 gallons, but we'll have to see how that goes. They cost a lot of money, and I'm not, unfortunately, I'm not one of those guys who has unlimited funds to spend. So, but I really enjoy the fish that I have, and I'm not coveting those bigger tanks. I'm just hoping that someday maybe the stars will align and I'll be able to get one of the really enormous tanks that are out there. So let's move over to the back room and I'll show you some tanks back there. So here we are in the back room, which is mostly a storage room, to tell you the truth, but it's serving as a room to grow out some baby fish. We'll just turn off the lights so you can see things a little bit better here. There we go. So this 65 gallon is the biggest tank I've got back in this room here, and you can see it's housing some young blue dolphin babies, and it's also serving as a hospital tank at the same time for the silver dollars and for this one poor dragon's blood here. Look at him. About a week ago he was looking like he was not going to make it, and I can tell you a week later he's looking 200% better. So really happy to see that you can have a fish that when things take a turn for the worse, like he did in the school aquarium where he was, sometimes you can still rescue him and keep him alive. So this tank's also serving as a grow out tank for my Tanganikans. I've got about 20 or so of these black calvus. There's a couple that I got from the breeder in Salem, and then there's another 20 or so that I got as 1 day old fry. So we had a gentleman about an hour away who had a batch of fry that had just been released, and they were inside a seashell, and I was able to bring those tiny microscopic practically babies up, and they've survived. So I'm sure we lost one or two, but for the most part those 20 or so babies are all still alive and well here. So grow out tanks I think are a must if you're planning on growing the hobby and you don't want to buy all adult fish and gamble everything on one very expensive adult fish. So 65 makes a great grow out tank for some of these fish, especially the blue dolphins work really well in it. And then just being able to have a place to put a fish that is having a tough time is also a good thing. So we'll show you a couple other fish that I've got. Got over here a couple of 40 gallons, and these are really the exact same tank, slightly different setups, but you notice on the bottom I've got a group of all one species, and they are Angara. And Angara is actually becoming a fish that I really enjoy. I enjoyed it so much that I thought, let's keep a couple batches of fry when they bred, and so these guys are growing up. No color, nothing of interest yet as far as true cichlid beauty, but it'll happen. You give them about a year. So fun growing these fish up, and similar story, except for like I told you, those Neolamprologus burchardi that I have in the 125 out there in the main room, these are all their offspring. So they come in all different sizes. It's amazing. I heard my nephew say that this kind of fish seems to have a little truce that nobody's going to pick on the little guys, and it's true. The tiniest ones are not in any particular danger here, and the big ones don't tend to bully them as long as they're in their own colony. And I've removed the parents, but the babies are all still getting along really well so far, so hopefully that'll continue to be that way. And here in another few months, I imagine I'll start finding homes for them, because frankly nobody can keep that many of one species unless they do. It's a huge tank for species only. So anyway, the Angara and the Burchardi are back here, and also back here is a kind of a curiosity tank, shall we say. There are some hybrids that I'm growing out, which are really kind of a fun. Oh boy, if I can remember, the female is a Benga peacock, and the male is whoever happened to be there at the time. So I found some of my most beautiful fish in the hobby have been from mystery pairings. So I wanted to see how this batch grew out, and I am seeing on some of the older ones here some really beautiful color from the Benga peacock. Hopefully the male, whichever he was, will lend some interesting DNA as well. So, and also back here I've got some really cool plecos, Chinese algae eater, and that giant pleco here is going to go to the school aquarium eventually. They've got a 150, and I think he'll be more at home in a bigger tank, since this is only, I think it's about a 55 gallon. So, but the real strange one here is this bluegill. And the guy who gave this tank to me, it was a free tank, and I just wanted to honor him, kind of like the rescue places do, and keep this guy throughout his life. But he is a bluegill, and bluegill is a fish here in Utah that people fish for food and for sport, and I think they're a cool fish. Kind of looks a little bit like a bass, but the bluegill is also called a panfish, so evidently they're good eating. So, but he's here for as long as he'll survive, and hopefully he'll enjoy his last few years with these young cichlids and whatever else inhabits this tank eventually, right? So, but the bluegill is behaving himself very nicely towards the cichlids, and kind of a strange but interesting thing to have in my tanks here. So anyway, so the bluegill, the babies, and the plecos, and if they would show their faces, I'd show you the most gnarly looking bristlenose plecostomus you've ever seen in your life. But doesn't seem to be coming out right now. They are fairly shy. I've got a Syndontis catfish in here as well, and I can see the female bristlenose, but the male, the one that's quite the spectacle, is not coming out to be seen. So yeah, you can look through my past videos. There's a video of him, and he is just one of the most interesting plecos that you can get. And there's hundreds of varieties of plecos, and he's just a fun one to have. Let me move over to my last two tanks here, and then we'll be done. So I'm becoming an expert breeder of blue dolphin cichlids. This tank here has got a bunch of blue dolphins in it, and I think this will be the last batch of blue dolphins I ever save, because I've bred so many that I really don't know what I'm going to do with all of them. But also up here I've got a 40 gallon with some fish that I bought that are growing out. I mentioned I've got some star sapphires. There's 6 of them in here, and I've also got a big spot hap. I've got 6 of those as well. So the big spot haps and the star sapphires are growing out in this little 40 gallon in the back of my storage room. Someday this is going to be good breeder stock, because I got from different sources these guys. So anyway, just nothing too exciting at this point. I think I may have at least one male here, which is great, because I was really hoping I'd find another male to give that other male kind of a little bit of a competition. So, and if I'm lucky, I've got 2 or 3 males, but I feel like that's definitely a male there. So cool. And the big spot hap, I just saw them online. I thought they looked really cool, and I thought I'd give them a shot and see how they would do for me. So let's see, I'll do a wrap up here and we'll be all done. Okay, so finishing up, just wanted to share how you can have something bad happen like a flood and it can turn into something really cool. My fish room here is kind of a dream come true for me. Hopefully you enjoy what you see. If you have any comments, please leave them below, and love to hear what your opinion is on any of these things. Maybe you've got some advice for me on my Tanganikans or something else. So by all means, just like and subscribe if you want to see more of this kind of thing. You have a great day, and thanks for watching.